joined, is it?
Oh, so live.
Transition that in. Cool. All right, now we got her going. Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is episode 10 of the VR Hounds podcast. Every week, we VR Hounds hunt down the latest VR topics to talk about live on Saturdays on YouTube. We have our own independent VR YouTube channels. Feel free to drop in the chat, say hello, or ask us any VR questions. For the audio-only version, you can find this podcast currently on iTunes. Today, we are here with a fabulous Bumble. Bumble, how you doing?
Hi everyone, I'm doing great. How are you, Fish Stick?
I am fantastic, thank you, friend. How are you, JK? VR.
Good.
Good. Good to hear. So, just as you'd like the usuals, what is everybody been playing this week? I guess we could start with Jade. Go ahead, let us know what your playlist consists of for this week.
I have been playing. I did a live stream of Kin. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you guys, but it's like a platformer puzzle kind of game. And yeah, you're this little girl with big white hair. You run around. You solve some puzzles. I still don't know what her backstory is. A little like 2-second clip was revealed whilst playing this, but it's actually quite challenging. So I haven't finished it yet. What else have I been playing? Some Rec Room, as always. Well, I actually tried to do some smooth locomotion. I tried to do the pirate quest with some smooth walking locomotion and see what that was like, and that was really cool. It's like, I think it's a little bit easier to get bottled because the skeletons like try and throw bottles at you, and so you're moving from side to side. And yeah, with the smooth, you're more likely to like that can go awry. But yeah, it was quite good. Could get used to that. And what else? Oh, and also a little a little quiz in Rec Room, which was quite fun. It's like a general knowledge quiz, because someone has made a quiz room in there, and got like the circuits, all the buttons work when you press to like give your answer and things. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool custom rooms, and they just had a big update. So now our dorm rooms are updated.
Oh yeah,
so they look a bit.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Are they doing like a
they look
contest
a bit...
or something too, like a dorm room contest?
Yeah, they look a bit fancier. And what else? Even though I do want we're gonna go on a protest in Rec Room because I do want cheaper priced items because the merch booth is so overpriced, or more challenges, because the challenges nowadays I can literally complete them in like 5 minutes. It's like ridiculous. So then you get your daily tokens, and then you're like, okay, what now? And you can't even when you get your daily tokens, it's like 100 tokens. So it's 3 days before you can actually buy anything.
So it's more like a daily task as opposed to a daily challenge.
Yeah, it's like a task. It's like a collection task.
Here's my chore.
Yeah, a chore. So yeah, gonna go on protest about that. Maybe the devs will listen after a silly video. With some other Rec Room keen to protest cats. And on here I should say I should only talk about dogs, no cats. With
Yeah, hounds only.
That's right.
And yes, I think that's it from me.
Cool. Alrighty, well, Mr. Bumblebee, what about you, sir?
I'm still playing Skyrim VR a lot. Really love that game. I hunted down all the Daedric artifacts. Now I'm doing the Civil War questline, which is interesting because I also played that game on the computer when it first came out. And I remember I was doing the Civil War questline, and it's like this war, and the battle is between like a dozen people on each side. And on the computer, I was like, this is pretty lame. There's only like a dozen people on each side. Now that I'm in VR and I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, this is really awesome. It's like a cool little skirmish in a war. So still really enjoying Skyrim VR. It's like the only VR game I'm playing, actually. And I got a Nintendo Switch, so I've been playing some non-VR games like Mario and Zelda.
Hello.
Yeah. What about you, Fish Stick? What have you been playing?
Actually, I've just been freaking going nuts on Hearthstone, to tell you the truth, so I'm in the same boat as you, Bumble, with the non-VR stuff.
You're still cutting out a little bit in Discord.
Is that better?
I think so.
I think I gotta do this here.
But what have you been playing? I didn't actually get to hear you.
I've been kind of going crazy on Hearthstone. Kind of the same boat as you with the non-VR stuff. Yeah, they got that Witchwood thinger out, and they just released the solo quests, so I've been defeating monsters, or trying to defeat monsters, and stuff. But I do have a game I plan on playing. It's a model train VR game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Do you go in the model trains, or you just like play with them?
You actually build the model train. Model train VR. Let me look at it real quick. What the name of it is? Trainer VR.
Oh, okay. So you build a model train, and you like go into it, and you can see it from its perspective.
Yeah, you can build your own little trains, and you can actually go inside and control the trains.
Sounds like every model train enthusiast's dream.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to try that out. And especially virtual reality.
Yeah, it sounds sweet.
Yeah. Talking of which, the model trains. Someone built like a custom model train in Rec Room, and yeah, you can go inside it, sit in it, and it moves. Well, the world moves. You don't actually move, but you feel like you're moving. It's really good, like chill room. But obviously, it's a bit experimental because you don't quite have all the tools to do that effectively. So, for example, if someone goes into the world, like when new people come in, sometimes they try and run to the castle. Because there's like castle there's all sorts, farm animals, as you're going around this like world that the person has created. It's really detailed, it's really good. Guy's called Trunks, yeah, and he's created some awesome custom rooms. But yeah, you sit in it and you see all these things going by, and sometimes people don't realize and try and like fly off into the world or like run out into the world.
That's pretty awesome.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. Okay. And Hearthstone, I haven't actually. I think I introduced you to Hearthstone, Fish, didn't I?
You got me back into it, yeah. I remember. I think I had it, and then I'm like, oh god, this game's so cool. I forgot about it. Yeah, those were the days.
I used to play that game too. The addiction that I kicked. I don't know about card games. Spent a lot of money on those over my life.
Yep, that's the truth right there.
Yeah, I got like 3 legendaries in the new expansion, and I haven't really played enough of it, to be honest. I got to level 10, which for me is the first, but maybe because I haven't bought that many packs, and it's a little pay to win. Yeah, so, but I haven't played all the solo runs and things. You're still cutting it out for me a little bit, Fish, so I hope I'm not interrupting you.
No, you're good. I think I just need to project my voice more for the audio to be picked up or whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and the game's called...
Someone in chat. Hi, Fussy Kitten.
Fussy. What up,
Fussy? Hello, Fussy.
What up,
That's my
fabulous?
Buddy, Fussy Kitten.
Yeah.
I was playing the quiz room in Rec Room with him. He was the one who advised me to drink for my toothache. That's how we ended up playing the Rec Room quiz.
Good advice.
What was I say? Oh yeah, the game's actually called Rolling Line. I just want to get that right.
The model train game?
The model train VR game, Rolling Line.
Oh yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I was watching some previews on the videos, and it looks super fun.
I was thinking you could actually put a 360 camera in an actual model train and then go into it in VR.
Wow,
and look at your model train as it goes around. That'd be pretty sweet if you're into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, my brother was for a while. He went a little nuts on that stuff, but yeah. Before we get too sidetracked here, let's see here. Oh yeah. So I wanted to first off cover Apple. The Mac Attack is releasing, I guess, their own version of their an AR/VR HMD codenamed Project T288. Basically, yeah, it's gonna be using its own Apple chips. So I believe they're using Intel chips right now, I believe, and they're gonna try manufacturing their own. But they're slating it for 2020, and it's been the biggest sign of Apple's interest in VR. Since it's had an intense focus with the AR, iPhones, iPad stuff over the years. So Just some of the specs on it. It's supposed to have 8K display per eye. It uses a dedicated box with high-speed, short-range wireless 60 gigahertz technology called WiGig, and apparently it resembles a PC tower, but won't actually be a Mac computer, and it's not going to need any sensors too. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I wasn't quite sure what they'd be using for controllers either, if just could be using like just a hand controller or whatever. But I guess the CEO says he sees bigger possibilities in AR than VR because augmented reality allows you to be more present. And I guess first question is just overall thoughts. Like, what's everybody's experience with Macs and whatnot? Personally, I think I used a Shuffle for a year, about maybe 5 years ago, or something. But overall, that's really my experience with Apple. Have any of you guys really used any Mac stuff before?
I have an iPad.
iPad crew.
Yes.
Yeah. Not much experience with Mac stuff overall, though. But I think it's a interesting sounding VR/AR device because no one else is really going that route where it's like a standalone headset that connects wirelessly to a box that's not like a computer. It's just like a specialized, well, I mean, it probably is a computer, but it's not like a desktop computer that you can use like a regular computer. It's just a specialized thing for the headset. So it will probably be way more powerful than the other mobile headsets that are coming out. And with 8K resolution per eye, it's probably going to look super good. So I'm pretty excited to see how that turns out, even though it's Apple and it sounds really high tech, so it's probably going to be super expensive.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, I was guessing like maybe about $1,000-1,500 US at least.
Yeah, because you're basically buying the computer and the headset combined.
Yeah. And
yeah,
usually,
because I have.
Oh, go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
Sorry, I have the I have a MacBook Pro from like 2013, or I don't know. Everyone, my laptop died, and basically the whole of my uni was MacBook crazy. So I was convinced to get one. But I don't know. I'm not an Apple kind of fanboy. I've had iPhones. I still use my iPod. Yeah, iPod Mini. I had a different iPod before that. And the iPod is probably my favorite Apple device. I also have an iPad, an old iPad. Haven't upgraded on that one. But yeah, I definitely prefer my PC. And I mean, on the plus side, my Apple like MacBook Pro never has like any kind of issues. People love to say that, like it never gets viruses, but obviously we know that's not true. But yeah, the headset looks super interesting. I mean, I've kind of gone away from Apple now. I even think like I'm on my last iPhone. So I think I'm kind of done with Apple, but who knows? Maybe this will bring me back to Apple, because no, I don't think so. But yeah, it does look super interesting and amazing. The only thing is it will probably be sky high, because their MacBooks are always like way more than like just a regular laptop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Probably not worth it after experiencing both, I would say. But then I'd say, PC is my favorite, because I never really used to game on I've tried gaming on the MacBook, but it's not really my jam, especially with the like trackpad thing instead of, your good old gaming mouse and keyboard. So yeah, only for desperate times, like if I'm out in the middle of nowhere or something. But then I usually don't have internet connection, so.
Yeah, I was kind of joking around.
I'm thinking around 3,000 maybe.
3,000? Yeah, that seems about
I can
right.
see that, yeah.
It's Apple,
Yeah, it's probably going to look really cool, though. They always like to throw style into whatever they're doing, though, so.
Yeah, their products are very stylish, and they're usually very high quality, so I'm pretty excited to see that, because it's probably going to be a really great VR device. And Apple does have like a big fan base of people who will buy pretty much whatever Apple puts out, no matter the price tag. So it'll also probably get a lot of people into VR and AR.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It'll definitely bring some new people in.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel like they've kind of been kind of left out from the whole like VR experience. Like I was saying, they have their whole AR stuff with their phones that they've been messing around with. But as far as experiencing VR in an HMD platform, that'll be really cool to have them jump on the VR train and stuffs. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like the headset is going to be kind of focused on AR, especially because they have their AR development kit for iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the content, I assume, that's going to come out with this headset is going to be AR stuff that's been ported over from the phone. It is Apple, so they'll probably do like a closed ecosystem, just like Oculus. Not going to be running on Steam VR or anything like that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Cool. All right. Well, what else we got here? I guess yeah, we can move on to the. I thought it was really cool the Alien Descent experience opening up in Orange County, California. I know there's like a lot of the like warehouse size experiences popping up. But this one in particular, because I like love the Alien games and stuff like that. But this one stuck out because, well, for one, they use a Gear VR for the HMD for the experience, and I believe like the other ones have their own like special HMD that they use. Like the Void has its own custom one. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But they actually use they also have a floor haptics and power, wind, and heat effects to simulate like you stuff as you walk around in the ship. And they said that it's $22 for a 10-minute experience, which is compared to the Void. I think the Void charges like 50 for about the same amount of time. And I was just want to get your guys' opinion as far as like for a 10-minute VR experience, like what do you think is a good price for that type of thing? Or I guess also how long of an experience you would prefer to be in there for. Like me personally, I would be like maybe an hour experience would be fantastic. Pay for I don't know, $50, something like that.
Longer the better.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that there, Bumble?
I mean, I would pay $22 for the 10-minute experience, just because. I mean, it just sounds so awesome with like the way they set up the warehouse to kind of mirror the in-game environment. So, like when you touch a wall in game, you'll actually be touching a wall in the warehouse, and then the floor haptics and to kind of mirror the in-game environment. Like that sounds like it would be a pretty cool experience. I don't know about using Gear VR. I hope they have some tricks up their sleeve to make the graphics actually look good through the Gear VR headset. And they also are using like a little gun that you hold, so you got your gun in game, you're holding it in your hands.
Yeah, they were saying it mimics the what was it? The one from the movie, Striker Gun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the one used in the movies. And I love those movies too, so
yeah.
I would definitely want to play that. And I would hope that it has like horror elements to it of like having to run away from the alien instead of just like mowing down to aliens or the in-game environment. Like when you touch a wall and try in game, you'll actually be touching a wall in the warehouse, and then the floor haptics.
$50.
Touching a wall in the warehouse, and then the floor haptics to kind of mirror the.
Yeah. So what about you, Jade? What's your thoughts and feelings?
Okay. Sorry, you're cutting for me in the Discord. Probably fine on the stream, so I'm just I'm just waiting for your cues. Yeah. So I definitely think an hour is a good time for a VR experience. I think 10 minutes is way too short, especially at the prices.
Striker Gun.
Okay, you kind of expect it to be expensive because they always try to capitalize on these things. But for like new users to VR, so someone like if I go along to the Void, for example, the Star Wars experience is a bit different because I've already experienced VR. So even though it's going to be quite short, if the experience is different to the VR that I'm experiencing at home, then it's going to be worth it. And a few people have told me it's definitely worth going to. Like VR Sam was raving about it. So like, yeah, if he says it's good, it must be. Devs who spend all the time in VR say go for it, then I think it's totally worth it. But he developed Logo Dojo. In case you don't know who I'm talking about. But anyway, so definitely a bit of a different experience for us. And then the shorter time frames, I suppose, it's not, well, it's a mix of them trying to capitalize on it. And then I suppose because they've only got so much tech, so they have to try and get everyone in to experience it. So for example, when I went to the Brighton Fallout 4 VR event, they had quite a few people like on the list. And, you know, they had a short amount of time and then it was the next person. I'm sure they got longer though, maybe like half an hour. So not so bad. And it was definitely a lot cheaper because it's at this little like venue and they're trying to really push VR forward. So they have a different kind of agenda as opposed to these bigger arcade companies who just want to make a lot of cash.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely longer than 10 minutes for newbies. Definitely I'd say at least half an hour for even me to really enjoy the experience. But yeah, it would be nicer if it was up to an hour for people who've never experienced VR before, because they're not going to really get to grips with it in 10 minutes. You know, 10 minutes is most games tutorial. So yeah, they might not get as immersed in it in those 10 minutes. I mean, they probably still have their minds blown, but maybe not enough to go and buy HMD themselves, which of course is what we want to see.
Yeah, for sure. And, also, too, what's kind of neat too is they start. I think it's a team of 4, and they start 2 people on one side, and they start two other people on a completely different parts of the map. So I think like in the Ghostbusters experiences and stuff, everybody starts as a group and just kind of stays as a group throughout the whole experience. So I thought that was kind of a neat thing too. You have to find your teammates and then kind of go fight your way through the aliens and stuff.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. It sounds like appropriate for a alien game. Like everyone starts out split up, and the aliens hunting you down, and then imagine when you finally meet your teammate. That's probably like a super relief, even though it's just a VR game.
Yeah, I bet that will be a really scary introduction for some people.
Yeah, they might not want a headset after that. They're gonna be like, I never want to go in VR again. Have PTSD.
Have you guys ever messed around with the port for the Alien game they have out right now?
I've been waiting because they're trying to get it working with like HTC Vive controllers and just basically controlling like a made for VR game. So I've kind of been waiting for that because I want the maximum experience. It sounds really awesome though. It's a great game.
Cool. And speaking of VR experiences, I thought this was kind of interesting too. VR Studios has actually released the first VR arcade solution. It says here, integrating best-in-class computing power, head-mounted display technology, wireless transmission, and positional tracking from industry leaders, including Hewlett-Packard, HTC, and TPcast. It's called the VRcade Atom. So it's basically a pocket VR booth that you can buy as a package, and it requires a minimum of 10 feet by 10 feet and can be opened up until about 15 by 15 feet for a multiplayer system. It's basically a turnkey VR arcade that a business owner could buy and just kind of throw out there and add room scale, free roaming, multiplayer VR attractions to anywhere they want, like the mall, I don't know, like a circus, pretty much anywhere you can fit this thing. So it allows you to do multiplayer too. You can actually network multiple atoms together to increase the player count. And I think it says here 2 player with up to 4 networked. So I believe that's 4 atoms networked together. And I was just curious as far as your guys' thoughts, as far as the commercial market goes, and this Pocket VRcade concept, how you feel about it, and its influence in bringing new people into the VR market. Jade, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it definitely has some potential. I think we were talking in one podcast about how a lot of people haven't experienced VR, and a lot of people I still find haven't heard of it or don't understand what it is. They think it's 360 video. So yeah, hopefully this will reach a wider market, and then people will come over to the dark side.
Yeah.
And also, we've also got a comment in the chat, which says that as with all Apple products, the competition already, just to go back to your earlier topic,
Okay.
has their modern solutions, Samsung. But thanks to this big Apple fan base, they always get attention and they are pushing everything forward, and that's good. Yeah, that is true. Because I was, as Bumble was saying, they definitely have that regular fan base. I was thinking of all the people that sleep overnight just to get the next iPhone. Yeah, I've seen some interesting videos on that. I don't know if that's just in the US. I haven't seen that in the UK, but maybe I just wasn't around the shops on launch day. I'm sure it's everywhere because there's definitely some big Apple fanboys. So they'll probably all get the headset and then it'll be a VR world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so back to your arcades. Well, yeah, all these things hopefully are going to bring more people into the virtual world, and yeah, I think it's a good idea.
How about you, Bumble? Thoughts,
I feel
feelers?
like I was going to say
Oh
something.
yeah, I think it looks really cool. It's like a little box that you can play VR in, and I guess it comes with like a computer. It comes with a HTC Vive that's already set up to TP cast, so it reduces a lot of the complexity of setting up a VR thing that people can use because, especially like getting the TP cast working and all the sensors set up and everything, that can actually there's like all sorts of issues that you can run into with that. So the fact that commercial organizations can just pick up a couple of these and just have everything set up is going to make it a lot easier, especially for things like trade shows and stuff like that.
Yep.
My only concern is that the little box looks a little flimsy, and if they're going to have wireless VR, you might have people like
Yeah.
ramming into the wall and knocking down the box. I'd actually love to see a video of that.
Holes will start
But
popping up in it.
yeah, I've never actually been to like a VR arcade or a public VR event, so I don't really have any experience with that. I think Jade, you are more experienced with going to those sort of things, right?
Events, yeah, definitely. So the Fallout 4 VR event, some other events, and public VR for just that I was invited to through doing this YouTube thing. Oh yeah, so the backpack I tried out at an event, and that was yeah, backpack VR in a public space, which was interesting. And definitely, it's always important, as you say, the tech can sometimes have issues, especially it depends on who is like manning the bases, shall we say, setting up the stuff. Because I always wonder, is that why they don't show it in shots? Because I think someone sent out a tweet, and me and Fish were both, we both tweeted back to this tweet where they said that the HMDs are all in glass cases.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of the shops and
Retail
big
stores and
stores.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that he was saying that the security, that might be a security issue. And I was debating that because I was saying, oh, well, in the stores I'm thinking of over in the UK, they demo other expensive products. So if they demo those, why don't they demo VR? But then something came to me. I was thinking maybe it's just a case of the tech. They don't want to necessarily invest in getting the right kind of, people to set this stuff up. And maybe the regular store employees have no clue about VR either. And then it's the investment maybe out, it's too expensive when balanced or measured up to how many people might actually try it. Or I don't know if they've tried something out before and thought, okay, we didn't get many people trying this out, so we'll just give it a miss. I think it definitely is possibly a missed opportunity. I don't know what you guys think about, would you like to see them demoed in these big retail stores, or do you think that could possibly be a reason for why we're not seeing that? Or
I would.
Bumble?
Yeah. Oh.
Fish?
Yeah. Well.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's fine. No, I that thought you had about that makes a lot of sense. Actually, they just probably don't want to put in the effort or the resources. As the way that they look at it, it's too much uh, work for what it's worth in their minds. I could see that, being an issue. But yeah, I think that like these little pocket booths will kind of help solve that maybe. Just maybe a like a play area, a designated play area. But what about you, Bumble? What do you think?
Actually, the stores around here they do have VR setups. Like I went to Fry's Electronics and they had a little HTC Vive area there, and then every time I go to the mall, I'm always walking past like the Microsoft store and electronic stores, and I see people in there like using VR, and they even have like a little public area where you can use VR out in the mall. But I live in a very like tech savvy area, so I think that might have something to do with it in Silicon Valley. So I think it is like a lot. Like potentially, it could cost more. Like they might have to hire like some sort of technical person who knows how to do it to come set it up. And then even once you have it set up, I'm sure all of us have had to do all sorts of troubleshooting with our VR devices. Like there's so many different ways that VR can go wrong, and I think some of them may have like experimented with it and then they ran into issues and they didn't want to just like be constantly troubleshooting these devices, so they just put them into glass cages instead. And there's also the potential liability issue of like people injuring themselves while they're playing VR. Especially, I feel like new players like they can get really into it and just kind of like go too hard. I know I had a girl like smash one of my controllers and completely break it by just like slamming it against the wall in my room because she was just like so into playing Gorn. So people can definitely, especially when they're new, they can get too into it and they can probably trip. And I'm sure a lot of retail, like that's like a nightmare for some of these retail stores. So I think there's a lot of reasons why people might not want to do it, but hopefully in the future we'll see more stores setting up those sort of displays. And I definitely am seeing it around here.
Yeah.
Also, we have a new member in the chat. Go for Chucks. Hello, welcome.
What's up, man?
Yeah, same. Good to see you around, Gopher.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking of as far as like here too. I mean, I live in Montana, so the amount of people that live here is probably another thing to the stores. We don't have a lot of super huge retail stores. I think we have some Best Buys in some of the larger cities, but you know, Jay lives in London, and you're in what, Southern California or something, Bumble?
Yeah, I'm in California.
Okay.
In Silicon Valley.
So I mean, you guys have tons and tons and tons of people to be able to, experience that. So it's just market size too is probably an issue. Where I live, up here in lonely Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep forgetting and thinking that Bumble lives in San Fran like every 5 minutes. But
I live near it. Yeah.
The stores here, there's a lot of them, so you'd think that they would demo it here. They did demo it in like one Curry's store for about 5 minutes, the HTC Vive, and then they got rid of it. When I was back there, I was like, oh, it's gone. So I don't know, but now that you've mentioned, people breaking things as well. So I suppose you've got store employees who would have to they'd have to spend money on training them, then they'd have to spend money on all the replacing things that people break, then they might have to then as well spend money on extra training for kind of troubleshooting and things, because even these events I've been to, I've always ended up like fixing something for someone or being asked to like jump in and Jade, you know more about this, let's see if you can fix this issue. So I mean, then you've got really no chance. Just maybe doing that at all the regular stores. Maybe it's just the expense, and then the expense of having so many headsets just as demo headsets. Yeah, when you start adding it up, VR is already quite expensive. So yeah.
There's also hygiene issues.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're just using like the stock Vive or whatever with the stock face pad and you're just passing it around to people. It can get gross. You really need to get like if you want to do something like this, you want to get like disposable VR covers from like VRcover.com or something like that. And a lot of shops just probably aren't savvy enough about VR to really know that, and they're just like, oh, this is kind of gross. Maybe we should stop.
When I was at MizCon last year doing my booth there, there was this one kid that he came to my booth a couple of times every day, and he would just get so freaking, oh my gosh, I had my Rift, and it just absorbed all of his sweat. So I take it off, and then like the next person would go out to do it. I just felt like bad because they had these derpy little like cloth or like paper sanitary covers you could use to kind of like, I guess, make it a little less gross. But yeah, that was just, it soaked it up like a sponge. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's one of the less glamorous parts of public VR events.
But yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Go ahead.
So then they'd have to spend on the the VR cover, disposable VR covers, and then if you're over here, maybe, and then they'd have to pay a lot for like shipping because yeah, every time there's no like London or UK based companies that seem to do these things. Yeah, so I suppose it all just adds, and then also if someone has like the flu or something, and then there's those people who won't stay at home when they have the flu, and then go and spread it to everyone through the HMD. Maybe it could be like a health and safety.
There you go. That's how the first zombie apocalypse starts.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, but if people, I mean, if you allow them to use their technology, I mean, if it's available for them to try it out, they'll come. Just have to let them experience it. I mean, at my booth, like, I was literally within the first hour, I was signed up for the whole day for half an hour slots, and it was the same thing with the other 2 VR booths.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Kind of cut out for us there, Fish Tech.
No.
Sorry, it's this bloody push to talk isn't working very well. Is that better?
Yeah, that sounded better.
Cool.
Are you using push to talk?
I am now.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
There we go. But yeah,
I want to say something, but
oh yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So also that reminded me that someone sent me a link this week in my Discord to a box that they have for mixed reality. So you can just do a really easy mixed reality setup by getting this pop-up box. And yeah, it's like full on green screen. Yeah. And it looks freaking awesome. So for me, for example, like I'm kind of like a temporary living situation. I can't like paint my walls green because they don't allow you to do that here. Yeah, so I could get a box and pop everything up, do my recording with the box yeah, up and ready, and then pop it back down. And you can take it anywhere. So it's like the kind of VR, is it VR Atom again?
Yeah.
I keep saying the name. Yeah, box. So yeah, it just reminded me of that because I thought, oh wow, they're making all these like pop-up solutions to make it really easy for people to have kind of portable VR.
Yeah, that's awesome. That'd be really useful for like promotional things. Some company wants to do a VR mixed reality trailer for their game or whatever. They can just get one of those because yeah, I use a very rudimentary green screen solution for my channel. I've never even tried messing with mixed reality because it seems too complicated. But something like that seems like it'd be really useful.
Yeah, because when I even did the Paper Valley trailer, the company who like produced that was their first mixed reality trailer, so they didn't have a mixed reality setup. So they had to rent out like a space in London. Yeah, which I imagine was quite expensive. So it would be great if they maybe would, because they're looking to do more mixed reality in the future. If they get like a pop-up thing, then I suppose for companies like that, it will be great production-wise. They can just stay in their regular office and not have to trek out somewhere else just to do mixed reality or paint their walls.
Yeah, or they can bring it to like events and stuff, and then get some mixed reality reactions of people just actually playing their game.
Mixed reality footage, yeah, because it's always nice to see. I think it was VR Scout, one of the VR news companies that have a YouTube channel, and they had all these kids and older adults in VR, and they did it all in mixed reality, and it was their first time in VR, so it was just really cool to see them in there. And yeah,
I love watching people's reactions. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, it's a great way to watch people in VR, especially if people haven't used VR. It's a lot better at like showing like how VR changes the game, where it's like this person is actually in the game as opposed to off on the side in the corner of the screen, unrelated to the game, just flailing around and looking around.
Excuse me. Yeah. So
yeah, Fussy Kitten in the chat is saying that because he's a VR person. Yeah, so he works in the VR industry, and he's saying that he always has these Oculus disposable masks for these demos. And he says it happened to me a few times on a trade show that the competition approached me and wanted to buy some of these disposable masks because they looked bad. Yeah, so I guess he was prepared and they weren't. So there you go, little story there.
Yeah, it's definitely a necessity if you do any sort of public VR event. The first day, or like the first week VR came out, I invited all my friends over and showed them all VR, and then my headset was pretty gross after that. I had to like throw away that pad and replace it with another one.
I can imagine.
Also, there's one more thing I wanted to cover was there's that Vive lens swapping that people are starting to do. They're replacing their HTC Vive lenses with those from the 2016 or 2017 models of the Gear VR, and I've heard lots of good things about that. I just ordered a 2016 one off Amazon, and it only costs like $25 for the Gear VR. So I'm gonna try that lens swap myself, and yeah, so it'll be interesting. And apparently it's super easy to do. Sweet Vive released a video that's pretty detailed. What about you folks? Would you consider doing that, Jade?
I'd be scared because
yeah.
Yeah, just to damage my Vive is still out of action.
Oh, no way.
So it's not even an option. Yeah, they've just stopped responding. So
well, that's nice of them.
So yeah, I'm sure they'll get back to me in, I don't know, 3 to 5 weeks.
Jeez.
I don't know what's happening. So yes, but if it was working, I would be a little scared. I might just do it though if everyone's in on this train and they're telling me that it's amazing, then I could easily be converted.
Mm-hmm. Bumble, would you risk it?
No, I don't think I'm going to do that. You know, I don't really have that much of a problem with the stock lenses, and yeah, I'm kind of sick of just like jumping through all these different hoops to get a slightly better VR experience. So I'm just going to stick with what I've got right now.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't do it. I'd only do it for like if people wanted to see it on the channel or something.
Okay, yeah.
I definitely wouldn't just do it for that slight upgrade, because I'm quite happy with my Vive the way it is at the moment. But what about you, Fish? You sound like you thought, oh, okay, this might be something people will be interested in, and I'll see how it works, or was it just you're all about the upgrades?
I'm all about the upgrades. Like if something's like, oh, this might make it look a little bit better or whatever. Yeah, that's what I do. So jump in there and try it out. I thought it was interesting too, especially with the Vive Pro coming out and how its resolution's a little bit better. How much of an alternative this would be to regular Vive users that don't want to, I guess, spend that extra money. If that makes sense, to increase their quality a little bit, to kind of step towards that direction that the Vive Pro offers. But yeah,
I'm interested to hear your experiences with that, Fish, once it's actually done, because it is a pretty popular thing now on like the Vive subreddit. A lot of people have been doing it, and they've been seeing its praises, saying that it really is an increase in clarity. Yeah,
we've got a comment in the chat as well. I don't know if one of you want to read. I'm just struggling to see the chat bit because my eyes were hurting, so I had to take my contacts out.
Oh,
so.
I can see here.
So I'm like you, Gopher. I can see you saying something like you can't see shit.
I can read it. Gopher saying, first he says you have to see it. It's not explainable, in reference to like showing people VR like through mixed reality or through YouTube or whatever. And that's definitely true. Like, if you really want to know what VR is like, you just have to experience it for yourself, because displaying it on a flat screen is only going to go so far. And he says he's 43 and he can't see shit anyways. So, sorry about that, Gopher. And just 1,200 for a mild increase in pixel density from the Vive Pro. That's definitely true. I think that's why a lot of people are turned off the Vive Pro because the price is just too much for something that is not like a groundbreaking improvement. Something that you could get for potentially $400 from like the Samsung Odyssey or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, apologies for reading out a comment, Fish, because I know it's like YouTube's always looking for a way to demonetize us.
Oh no, that's
So I should have gone. Gopher says beep.
Yeah, we'll see though. Like, I have a feeling my next video might be I just broke my Vive again. After I swapped my lenses, but yeah.
Maybe you can get a free replacement from HTC if you.
There you go. Just blame it on that premium headset I never bothered him about. That thing fell apart on me again today yesterday when I was packing up to come up here. The headphone or the attachment on the side freaking just popped out like it usually does.
Oh really?
Yeah. I never actually contacted him about it. Just kind of fixed it myself. I figured it'd be easier, but you got a hold of him for that problem, didn't you, Bumble?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty easy fix. You screw the pieces back in, but when it happened to me, like the little screw that holds it all together, like fell into the HMD, and then it was like behind the lens, so I couldn't get it out. I could hear it like clanking around in there. So yeah, they actually sent me a new headset, but that's like YouTuber privilege because. They have really bad support usually, but if you are a YouTuber and you raise enough of a fuss, then you get like a direct line to their special support.
Yeah, well, I wish Jade had that privilege. Jeez, she's been messing with hers for how long now?
Feels like a couple of months. It's definitely at least a month.
That sucks.
I know.
At least you have a Rift, though.
Yeah. Got the old Oculus. Yeah, good old Oculus.
Good old Oculus. Yeah, actually, Oculus, very nice. I think they sent me Fussy. I was asking Fussy Kitson, funnily enough, when he ordered another sensor. I was like, did they send you a adapter, you know, the cable as well? And he was like, no. And I was like, oh, they sent me one. Well, they didn't have like a note in it or anything saying like, you know, because I thought, okay, maybe it's because of YouTube and they're just like, oh, we dropped this in too for you. Well, they didn't say anything, so I'm not sure if they're just doing that now with everyone or. Well, let me know if you know the answer because I am curious.
What does the adapter do?
You know, so like an extension.
Oh, USB extension cord.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's handy.
Or do you need those?
Yeah, I was like, cancel my Amazon order on that.
That's what they should have done in the first place, I think, when they released the touch sensors. They should have. That was one of the things that bugged me between the Oculus and the Vive, was since the Vive was wireless, you had to go out and buy your own USB extension cable for your freaking Oculus sensors, you know, to actually get larger room scale and stuff.
Yeah, that's like my main gripe with the Oculus. Not like anything major, just like the USB cords, like having to run 3 USB cords around your room and then having to have 3 additional USB slots in your motherboard. Pretty minor thing, but it annoys me.
Yeah. You know, if you have to compare the two, it's just one of the things I would say is a con. Go ahead, Jade.
Yeah, I think the difference between we were talking about the sensors, you know, the Vive versus the Oculus. I suppose that's the real, you know, that's Vive's got a winner there, especially with the new Vive Pro, how you can track a larger play space. That might make them, you know, win this overall competition because tracking is such a big deal. So yeah, that's my only kind of gripe, I suppose, with Oculus is that the tracking on Vive is definitely easier to set up. You don't need that third sensor. And obviously it's a different type of sensor in the sense of, you know, Oculus is like a camera, isn't it? So it's you know.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about Facebook spying on you through your Oculus sensors.
Yeah, I never even thought of that. That's so true.
Yeah, and as far as like the commercial market goes too, HTC Vive like pretty much dominates that with that multiple sensor deal on their Vive Pro. I think that's what it was.
kind of tracking that the Windows HMD uses is really cool. Like just no sensors at all, and it just has cameras. And then apparently the Apple headset is going to use the same thing. So I feel like if that tracking method can get perfected, then that's like the future of VR. We don't have to worry about setting up sensors anymore. Just, the headsets will just do all the tracking themselves.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting too with Apple's headset, because everything's built into the headset. So, no sensors or anything. So maybe they're already working on that solution, sounds like.
Yeah, like inside-out tracking.
So it's chill. I was like reading an article on Reddit about it, and I put a comment in there about how many like the controller itself is probably going to only have one button, because the keys only have, or the mouses only have one button on the Macs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it'd be cool if they did no controller and they just used hand tracking.
Yeah, they didn't mention anything about a controller, so.
We just got a comment in the chat as well. That says, yes.
I covered up my
sensors when I'm not using VR. No spying.
Yeah, I remember early on after the Oculus Rift came out, some guy showed off how with just like a couple like image filters, you can actually get like a video feed from your Oculus sensors, and that was really creepy.
Oh boy, it's crazy what you can do to that stuff. Like, I don't know it enough to know that, but people out there do, and they're like really good at it. So it's funny what kind of quirks and stuff they can find with technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely cover my webcams and things.
That's a smart move.
Not me. I like to sport it. I'm like, you like this? Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I'm not ashamed. Well,
that's the show after the show tonight.
Yeah, that's right. VR Hounds After Dark, or whatever it's called. Late night. We're just about at an hour here. Is there anything else you guys want to bring up or talk about?
No, I think you've covered, everything fishy.
Cool.
Yeah, not much else here.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Yeah, we are VR Hounds.
Yeah.
Are we gonna wolf out?
Woof woof. Bye everyone.